Yeah.
Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, a.k.a. Goody, and with me is my old man, a.k.a. the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. Jalen Marquise Brunson. He hit one of the most iconic shots in New York Knicks history on Thursday, propelling the Knicks into the second round and sending the Detroit Pistons to Cancun. I know I was at home watching it with my son. We actually skipped baseball practice to be able to watch this game. I felt like, we haven't missed one practice all year. And I thought this, it's game 6. He's gotten to the point where he's so invested in the Knicks. He was in his very oversized Brunson jersey that he just inherited from his cousin Godfrey Jr. And 113, Brunson gets the ball on the inbound. Bridges comes over to set the ghost screen. He takes Oscar Thompson, a couple dribbles to the left, puts the crossover, reverse through the legs. Thompson takes 3 or 4 steps and, slide. He's on skates. Brunson comes back, top of the key, 3-point shot, all net. And that was when everyone around the world probably heard me and my son going absolutely crazy. At one point, I was bedlam in my house. I caught him in midair. Then, there's 4.3 seconds left. And the Detroit Pistons get the ball in. The Knicks are trying to foul, clearly trying to foul. There's no whistle, and the ball gets swung to Malik Beasley, who is wide open on the wing, standing behind the 3-point line. Mr. Mentally Tough Malik Beasley, Mr. I'm not worried about Cat, Mr. Shimmy hula hoop dance on the side. And I had to tweet at him. I had to let him know that my son wants him to know that he has butter fingers because it slipped right off of his hands out of bounds, and the Knicks win and they move on to play Boston. Talk to me, big guy. How did you take that in, and how are you feeling when Brunson hit that shot?
I mean, listen, any Knicks fan had to be thrilled. It was an amazing finish. It was a classic Knicks playoff finish on there, like the LJ shot, stuff like that. Very similar in certain ways. But no, I mean, the guy's a great clutch player. I mean, obviously, right? That's why he just got the award. That's why everyone considers him that Captain Clutch, as they say, right? And
shout to CP the franchise. Whenever we say Captain Clutch, he is the person who came up with that. He's the one who came up with that.
Yes,
okay, KFTV, CP the franchise. Yeah, that was him.
Credit. But no, listen, Jalen's a guy, man. It's just always interesting to me the fine line that these athletes have with being the greatest thing ever, or not so great. I mean, if he had missed that shot, he would have gotten a lot of criticism, not for missing that shot, but maybe for not such a great fourth quarter like usual, blah blah blah, a little too much ISO. But the winning cures everything, right? And let's face it, the criticism would be I think unfounded in a lot of cases for Jalen Brunson. You want it that way. You have to live with it, and I'm willing to live with it with this guy. That's just it. I'm willing to live with it. Okay. I mean, I know it's not perfect all the time, but it's perfect more often than it's not, and it's brought us more success in the last few years than we've seen in a very long time. Give me Jalen Brunson. As far as choices, as far as how we finish games, it would seem.
Yeah, I mean, no one can argue with that. I know there's some people that wanted to argue before the series that, Cade Cunningham was the best player in the series, notably your boy Wilbon. And it's absolutely ridiculous. He hadn't played a playoff minute. And I mean, Brunson clearly outclassed him in this entire series, if you want to compare those two players. And the prior game, Brunson only had 15 points. He had a tough one when we lose in game 5 at home in the Garden. And then in game 6, he starts off the fourth quarter 1 of 11 at one point. And we are struggling, like you said, lots of ISO ball, lots of possessions where we're just, giving him the ball and everybody else is standing on the opposite end of the court, which is one of the biggest criticisms of this Knicks team and really any Tom Thibodeau led team since, he's been a coach. And I'm getting furious at that moment. And then towards the end, you get that feeling like, listen, we're down by 7 with 2.5 to go. I'm already thinking about how, man, there's going to be so much pressure in the Garden in game 7. It's going to be really tough. And the thing, like Bridges said, is that this Knicks team, and specifically JB, they're built for this shit. They are really those type of guys who they don't actually feel like they're out of it, even when they're in that situation. Jalen Brunson all the time, consistently, and many times we've seen him do it and not be able to get us all the way over the hump, but he's going to figure out a way how to make a couple plays down at the end to be able to give his team an advantage. And like you said, you got to live with the results. As much as you want to criticize a particular game, a particular quarter, and even within this game, you saw 2 really good quarters and 2 really bad quarters from the Knicks, and it's just it's so up and down. And it's human nature, and I mean, I think it's fair to react to the different things as they happen. But when you take a step back, you have to know that having this guy on your team gives you the chance to win close games at a much higher percentage than if you have literally anyone else in the NBA. Like, it's that. Right. I mean, he really is that guy, and it feels so good as a Knicks fan to have a guy like that, and especially specifically a guard. A guy who has the ball in his hands all the time, and have a guy like that. And we get to have these type of moments. You know what I mean? Like, as a Knicks fan, we have Allen Houston, we have the LJ shot, but it's been a while since it's felt like we've had like the guy who's making the huge iconic play. I remember when Dame Dollar hit that shot, I was like, damn, I can't imagine what it would feel like to like be a fan of that team right now and see him hit that shot. But we know what it feels like now.
We do know what it feels like right now. And I'm going to tell you something, too. Jalen Brunson constantly gets disrespected, right? Whenever guys have a chance, like a Wilbon, like a Chris Caney, all that, he's a smaller guard, Nick. He's not super quick like Steph. He's not the shooter that Steph is. Nobody is. But
what do you mean? Malik Beasley is the best shooter in the world,
right? Isn't that hilarious? I mean, come on, guy. You gotta say some shit like that. After the game too, not before, but after. But and Nick, this is a perfect lesson to the young people out here that even though this is the time, this is the age where being brash and talking trash is the thing to do. And always, you see, I don't believe in this blind belief that I am the best. Dude, no. There's literally no empirical proof that you are the best. So why are you saying that? You're not.
Because in his mind, he's thinking to himself, well, he thinks he's one of the best, and he's like, hey, I have to have the mindset that I am the best. And the thing is that even if you have that mindset, that's one thing. Just don't say it. And especially not right after.
Right.
You
after you just lost, after you just got done.
When you just lost and you didn't have a great shooting series overall.
And you fumbled the last pass.
And, and Stephen Curry is still fucking alive on this earth, on this planet. Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Come on. Is he saying that because he shot the most, he made the most threes this past season? If you consider that making yourself the best, you're kind of foolish. I mean, you're making an ass of yourself to make a statement like that for so many reasons. And
not right now. This is not the time to be popping that shit off. It was
just really poor form. And even what he said about the other fellow, that he's the best defender in the league. Let's take it easy on that, too.
Austin Thompson?
Right. And right after that, he's a good defender. He's a very good defender, but
he's not the best defender. He's not the best defender at his dinner table. I mean, at his Thanksgiving dinner table. His brother's a better defender than him.
Yeah. Exactly. So what are we talking about here? So that was kind of foolish on his part. But listen, man, JB is that guy, man. He's the guy. I have a lot of respect for him and just the way he carries himself. And that's what I'm saying with this guy and talking trash. Man, it's just so much better not to talk trash. And not to be pumping your chest, especially I don't believe pumping your chest is a good thing to do when you have achieved. Because the best part is, being given accolades by others, not standing there saying I'm the best. But especially when you haven't yet achieved, it's incredibly foolish to pump your chest. Over what exactly? Over what you believe in your mind? That's foolishness.
We've seen it over and over again, when it
all
comes
the
to
time.
sports, that guy who wants to talk shit before the series, and now all of a sudden it doesn't go that way. And like you said, Jalen Brunson doesn't carry himself that way, and he's clearly the leader of this team. So everybody, falls in line with the type of guy that he is. And, you know, another thing that I don't take for granted is somebody who's raising a son, and raising a couple young athletes, and especially a son who really loves basketball, and being able to look to him as the example, and being able to say things to him like, hey man, when you're out on the court and things aren't going your way, you have to stay the same all the time. Your expression can't change. You can't show all the emotions that you're feeling at the moment. Look at Brunson. His expression never changes. He's always the same. And Brunson
Mhm.
just does his thing. He does what he's supposed to do. He shows emotion. He'll yell at the crowd. Obviously, just one of the best celebrations ever in the history of the world. That just
Oh
looking
yeah.
at the hand shit. I mean, come on, man.
Mm.
Me
It's
and my
so
son,
annoying to the opposing team and opposing fans.
so annoying. And I just heard on the roommates podcast that when he did that last time, there was some guy who was just every time they go to Detroit, even in the regular season, is always all over him the entire time. And he said he was looking directly at him after he
I could tell
did
he was
that.
looking directly at someone.
So fucking cool, man. The bench's reaction. Huck Porty couldn't support
Yeah.
himself. He fell to the ground. Cats going crazy. Everybody. I mean, just the most iconic shot. I actually heard somebody say, yeah, it would have been better though if he would have taken a couple seconds later, because he took it too early. And it's like, guy, first and foremost, when you got that much room, we got to get the best shot. We got to go ahead and put it up. And it was a 3. If he took a 2 early, that's one thing. But you take a 3 early, and it's like, yes, in worst case scenario, without like just a mind numbing foul, they probably had to look at Josh Hart in that timeout before they went out and were like, Josh, don't foul anyone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, under
Right.
any circumstance, do not
Right.
foul
Should have
anyone.
probably put him on the bench. No, but Brunson said that, I wish I had taken a shot a little later, but when you get that much room, and listen, Nick, he got that much room on the guy. Look at when he takes the shot, another split second, and that guy's on him again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
reaching for him at that point. That guy's so long and so quick. He was almost back to make the play right there. He had to take the shot, but in true Brunson fashion, he didn't rush the shot. He
Right.
didn't like do some quick, quick push the shot up. He took it in perfect form, perfect, very smooth,
Balance.
Balance, all of that, man. Footwork, perfect. Let's go. I mean, just so impressive, man. So impressive.
Yeah, the perfect shot from the perfect guy to be the leader of the New York Knicks. I mean, he is just totally unflappable. I definitely think that I don't know how much of this is Brunson. I don't know how much of it is his teammates. I don't know how much of it is, the system and the coaching. I would like to see him, especially early in games, look to move the ball a little bit more and just get guys involved. But then, in that game, we come out in the first quarter, arguably our best first quarter of the entire series, and Brunson is cooking. He's got like 15 in the first quarter. So, I mean, listen, he's going to always be an aggressive, shoot first type of point guard. For this team to be able to really, move forward and be able to accomplish great things, to be able to win a championship, we're going to have a more balanced offensive attack. In the late in the game, all Brunson all the time. I'm fine with that. But we got to figure out a way how to get some of these other guys involved when we get to this next series with Boston. I want to dive into the Boston series, but there's a couple other things from this game that I want to talk about real quick. Josh Hart, listen, he gave you a little bit of everything in that closing game, 13, 10, and 8 throughout the entire series. He was everywhere. He definitely had a very good series for Josh Hart. Now, he's also playing against a Detroit team that they don't exploit him on defense like the upper echelon teams do. I'm sorry, on offense. They don't exploit him on offense like the upper echelon teams do. So that's going to be a huge, thing that we see in this next series. One of the things that I did like that Tibbs did is that he got Josh Hart moving more. He didn't have him just parked behind the 3-point line. He had him constantly moving. So if you're going to have that guy who's not guarding him and basically just standing in the paint waiting to help on JB, now if he's moving, it creates a little bit more, confusion. I thought that was huge. Yep. What did you think of Josh Hart? And then, I mean, one of the things about this game was he got in some foul trouble. So he played like 34 minutes. I personally like a Josh Hart around 35 minutes more than I like a Josh Hart around 44 minutes. I just think that, especially with the helter-skelter way that he plays. But then, the other question is, who exactly off the bench is going to come in and give you anything? But what did you think of Josh Hart in this series? And do you feel like, what's the counterpunch that the Knicks have to make to be able to deal with the fact that Boston basically just does not guard him, and it really, in the 4 games this season, made our offense look atrocious?
Well, like you said, they've got to move. He's got to move, and he's got to make them pay. Whether it's at the rim or
hit some threes this series. Hit some threes,
right? And Josh has to shoot threes, and we need him to shoot them confidently. There's really not a lot of options, Nick. I know sometimes a lot of people get upset with his shooting or lack thereof, but he really does so many other things. It's hard to take him off the court, especially in key moments of the team. You'd like to think other guys can do similar things, but no one else does. He's just that guy, man. He makes big plays at big moments, a lot of things that we clearly don't see in the stat sheet. So listen, I'm sure he understands and sees what's happening. And see, I think we go on with a game plan. If we can execute that game plan, great. If we cannot, then we have to adjust to what they're doing to us. And that's what it comes down to, right? I mean, that's what basketball is, right? Who is making who make adjustments? We have to play a very tough game against those guys, man. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, the ability to make the quick adjustments and match wits with Missoula, I think, is the biggest key to this next series. And it's either going to be, listen. Of course, I hope it ends up being a shining moment for Tibbs, where you see him really a couple years ago against Bickerstaff, where we were just like, yo, he's coaching this guy, out of the gym. But I just think Missoula's a really good coach, and I think this Boston's a really, really good team that's been together. So it's going to be tough. Go ahead.
Let me ask you something about Missoula. I mean, okay, I think Missoula's a good coach, right? But this is like his 3rd year now, right, with them? Because it was that first year after the whole thing with Udoka, and in that playoffs, he was getting ripped a little, and it didn't work for them, right? Yeah. And in the last 2 years, everything's worked out, blah, blah, blah. Now, we think he's a very good coach and all that, but, Nick, let's not lose sight of the fact that these guys who we think are really good coaches happen to have two of the top 7 best players in the league on their team, as well as some other people, very good players on their team. What's his name? No, we don't have anybody as good as Jason Tatum.
I mean, listen, Brunson ain't far off.
No, he's not far off, Nick, but he's not Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum, also too, they just have a better constructed team. Okay, but he's a good coach. He's a good coach. But I wanted to bring up the point with this guy Ty Lue. If you watched this game last night. Mm-hmm. Everybody always wants to scream how, he's one of the best coaches in the game. He's funny.
I'm not a huge Ty Lue guy personally. I actually had this conversation with Godfrey Jr. just yesterday, because he was saying, if he ends up becoming available and we get rid of Tibbs, I want Ty Lue. And I was like,
No. You just had to watch that game yesterday. It was a joke. First of all, once again, James Harden. Nick, 2 guys I called early, James Harden and Embiid. Come on. These guys are not winning guys, man. And that was, to me, plain to see early on. And man, the guy talk about disappearing, just not even being there, man. Not being present.
8 shots is wild.
8 shots, what, in the whole game?
Yeah.
That's incredible. What are you doing? Nick, I was watching some of the game. I was on the phone with your Uncle Godfrey. Watched some of the game. And this guy's coming down. He's staying so far away from the action in the half court, Nick. He's almost in the back court. He's literally, seriously, he's almost in the far corner by the half court line. And it's like, what are you doing, guy? Do you want to be a part of this or no? And the guy who's playing him is just hanging out by the 3-point line, because what else does he have to do? But I don't understand this guy. And then this is what I also don't understand. I get it. The second half has been terrible. Although you came into the second half down 11, that's not even close to insurmountable in the NBA, right?
Of course not.
7-8 minutes left, Nick. Over 7 minutes left. Denver still has in all their guys. Ty Lue sits everybody down. They're down 28 at the time. Now, listen, that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. But, Nick, this is game 7 of a series.
Yeah,
My
not 7
team,
minutes.
huh?
Not with 7 minutes. You don't empty the bench at 7 minutes in game 7. I don't get that. I'm with
But
you.
he
I'm agreeing.
did.
No,
Nick,
yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm watching the game. Yo, what's his name? Jokic and Westbrook and Porter were in the game till 2.5 minutes left.
Yeah.
And by the way, in that period of time, they whittled the league down to 17 points with 2.5 minutes left. Nick, you're not still scrapping and scraping in the game 7 right there. Just take, why are you sitting these guys on the bench, Nick?
I'm with
what?
you.
To save them the embarrassment of being out there and a shitty. I don't understand that, man. That's that too cool for school shit, man. You should be out there busting your ass. You got months now to rest. If I'm the owner, Ballmer, I'm like, Ty, what the fuck was that? And frankly, to the players, I mean, like I was watching Harden on the sideline, and he was just sitting there. Why are you not going to the coach and coach, come on now, what are we doing? Let's get me in.
It's listen. The disappearing act that James Harden has had in these elimination games it's really hard to understand. And it just clearly it speaks to him a certain like lack of like mental toughness or killer instinct. I did this clip of Kobe talking about Harden. It's him and McGrady sitting down for an interview, and it's now today been getting it's resurfacing on Twitter and Instagram. I've seen it a couple times where Kobe's just talking about how he thinks that James Harden is a great player, but he's like he's not going to win a championship playing like that. He said he's just not. He said it's too just ball centric, and when you're playing in like a series when guys can make adjustments, and now you have the ball up top and everybody else is just like just basically looking at you over the course of a series, like you're not going to be able to win 4 games against really good defensive teams like that. And just some numbers on what James Harden has done in his 13 elimination games. He has shot 39% from the field, and his team has gone 2-11 in his last 5 elimination games, including the outlier performance in game 6. He is averaging just 14.2 points on 38% shooting. I mean, it's hard to understand how a guy who's been as prolific as he has at putting the ball in the bucket. He did have 13 assists yesterday, but man, he's got to be better. He's got to be better. But
I think when you talk about what Kobe says, and I'm sure Kobe felt this way too, it goes much deeper than that, much deeper than him not obviously being a winning player. Like I've said many times, it's about who he is. When I say he's not a winning player, he's just, Nick, when faced with adversity, he will not steel himself against the coming wind. He'll turn away. Okay, right. There's a big difference in sport, and frankly, listen, I don't know how the man is in life. I don't know. He might be the most driven businessman and family man, and likes the lemon pepper wings, all that shit. As much as the next guy. But on a basketball court, man, when put in a situation to do battle with guys who are clearly that steely-eyed type, he don't measure up. And he hasn't. He never has.
Yeah. You can't argue with any of that. Can't argue with that. But as my guy Demario Montague says, go Knicks. So let's talk a little bit more about our Bockers. And OG Anunoby is the next guy I want to talk about, because I thought that OG was excellent defensively the entire series. I thought especially in that closeout game, there was, like a weak side block that like led to the Bridges dunk. And just overall, I thought that OG had a great series, and he gave you 22 points, 3 steals, 2 blocks in the closeout game, and just continues to guard the other team's best player and still give you some of that offensive punch. I think that's another thing in this next series that's going to be extremely vital, is that we can't be having games where OG scores 11 points.
I think that OG played a very good game. I thought he played a very good game. I'm worried about a lot of guys like OG and our guys getting their shots blocked in this next series.
I mean, listen, we don't have bunch of explosive athletes on our team.
No,
But,
on length.
and we what I mean, I feel like, see, I don't feel like we're small. I don't think we lack length, honestly. I think that, if you look at our starting lineup, I mean, Josh Hart is maybe the one guy who's a little bit undersized. Everybody else is, about the size that you see a lot of the time in the NBA. And I just there's just not a bunch of guys that are jumping out the gym. There's nobody's like
Right.
got crazy hops or bunnies or anything like that. It's just a bunch of guys who are more so like, they're not over the rim. They're going like towards the rim hard, trying to dunk it.
Right.
But I think that, listen, OG, his great statistics playing defense, great statistical numbers when he defends Jason Tatum, some of the best. And that's going to be very important in this series. And the thing that the Celtics do so well is they hunt matchups and they screen you out of the matchups that you like. And then they attack mostly Brunson and Cat over and over and over again. So how do we try our best to not let that happen? And then we need not just OG, but the other member of Wingstop. We need Mikal Bridges to play like he played in that game. I mean, like I said this to you earlier, give me the Clockwork Orange treatment, where he's got, like, the eyes pulled open, and at night he's going to sleep of just like clips of him in that game. You had the aforementioned crazy dunk on the break on Cade, left-handed, and then the tip in. The tip in, it was such a perfect tip. I mean, he only barely got his fingers on that ball with the left hand. He's in place because Jalen Duren is face guarding Mitch. And so therefore he's able to slip in. He makes that tip in. And that was, at that point, like, realized like Brunson was getting bottled up by Duren a little bit. Even after that, he got
like 4 times in a row.
And and even the play after that, that was when he forced him into a 24-second, slapped it away at the last second, caught it for 24-second. The crowd's going bananas. Man. Bridges, again, a guy that it's a combination of, he has to be more aggressive. We have to run more for him. Brunson needs to emphasize getting him the ball early and often in games, because he's such an offensively skilled player. We see him be able to get all the way to the rim. He's the best at finishing an alley-oop layup in the history of the NBA. And he has that mid-range. He can shoot it from deep. We just need him to be more aggressive. I don't know what we have to do to get this guy to do that consistently, because he hasn't done it all season. It's you see it sometimes, and then it disappears sometimes for weeks. Bridges, Mikal, I'm begging you, buddy. Go for yours, man. Offensively, we need big outputs from you. We don't need games where you shoot 10 shots. I need Bridges shooting like 17, 18 shots per game.
Yeah. We need an all-out effort from Bridges this whole entire series. No disappearing acts. But, look, Nick, we want more shots out of him. We need 17, 18 shots out of Cat, too. We need, we're going to need minutes out of Precious probably in this series. We're going to need minutes out of Shannon, possibly.
Why do you feel?
Just because we'll need some length, some height, with like Al Horford or something. Run up and down and play with Al Horford, man. Come on, Precious, you can do that.
I don't think we're
the same age. You went to high school together. Let's go.
No, Al Horford's much older than Precious. What are we talking about?
I know. Well,
10 years older than him.
Well, then Precious needs to be able to rough him up, and do something.
I don't think we see too much Precious, and I don't think we see too much Precious, man, in this year. I mean, the guy didn't get off.
What about Shamet?
Listen, I hope, and I think this is another key for me. I have it here in my notes that Campaign and Shamet need to play a little bit more in this next series for a couple reasons. Just because that Celtics team is a little bit deeper, and they're getting contributions from guys off the bench, so they're not asking as much of their starters, and therefore at the end of games they're fresher. We need to be able to try to put ourselves as close to as we can into that same position, and we also need threes. We're just going to have to shoot threes. Like, we need to be shooting 30 plus threes per game in these games. The Celtics are going to shoot upwards of 50, and I don't think we need to go that far. But we need to shoot and hit threes in this next series, and Shamet and Campaign are two guys that like to get it up. The whether or not Shamet can give you something is huge, and especially since the other person that we have coming off the bench, Miles McBride. I told you that's his name from now on. To me, he's got to earn the thing that people like to say to him. They like to chant. They like to chant in all these different stadiums across the country. He got to earn that from me. I'm not calling him that. He's Miles to me right now. All right. And his handle is so shaky
Deuce has had a bad series, kind of a bad end of the season. But Deuce, come on, man. You just bail on these guys so quickly. You
Dad,
love Deuce like literally 3.5 weeks ago.
Dad,
You were
I
screaming
call
for
it
Deuce.
how it is, and
I know.
everything is
the guy's
always
the guy's had a bad stretch.
He's had that series, Dad. That series. I was
bad
talking to my boy Chris Dunn yesterday. Shout Chris Dunn, and we were talking.
0-0.
Yeah, it's a whole new series, and I hope. And listen, hey, I'm rooting for him. But I was talking to my boy Chris Dunn, and he was like, "Yo, this guy McBride. I swear, whenever I watch a game during the season, I feel like he never misses a shot. I mean, he never misses a shot. Like everything he puts up is just like high arc and splash." And then every time I see him shoot in the series, he hit 1-3 in Game 6, and I was like, "Okay, it's the Deuce game. He's back." And then he's crossing himself over into the ground and just handing the ball to the other team to lead them to a fast break. And listen, one of the issues with Deuce is this: if Deuce doesn't have somebody else on the floor who is creating an advantage, something that Julius Randle did really well, something that our guy Brunson does really well. And then because of that, it's getting swung to him because you can't give Deuce the ball and say, "Deuce, get yours." And that drove me bananas towards the end of that game where we're running the ISO ball just basically the entire fourth quarter. And then at one point, Deuce gets the ball with like 12 seconds left on the shot clock, and we have a possession where it's like, "Deuce, get yours." And that's the one where I said he crossed himself into the ground and gave up the rock. It's just like, he can't do that. He cannot do that.
Gonna be all right.
His handle, his handle for your overall Deuce and Tibbs for you are just, those are your guys. You are going down with the sinking ship with those guys. You always find a positive spin.
No. Listen, I've been very critical of Deuce this last series, and he's frustrated me greatly. But I think he warrants our belief and our support. First of all, because we got no other choice. Okay. So to rag on this guy and shit on this guy don't do nobody any good. Most of all, not us. If he can hear us, what about if he's watching? All right, you just crushed his spirit.
I didn't crush his spirit.
You crushed his spirit.
I didn't
ruin that young man.
Nah. Listen, Deuce, step up, bro. Make a fucking shot. How about that? And please continue to work on your handle and be a guy who is 6'2" that we can at least give the ball to and say, "Hey, you dribble the ball up the court." You can't have Deuce dribble the ball up the court with like full court pressure on him. He's giving it up, or he's dropping it off of his or he's dribbling it off of his toe. That's guarantee. It's got to be better, man. And you know what? He historically has had very good numbers against the Celtics.
This is what I'm saying. It's Deuce time, baby. Deuce time.
That's it. Because Deuce,
get on board.
We can't. Okay, if Deuce outplays Peyton Pritchard, we win the series.
Oh, that's a tough one, Nick. I mean, Peyton Pritchard is the sixth man of the year for a reason. I mean, come on. The guy's good.
Come on, man.
He's really good. He's better than Deuce.
Nice.
He's really good.
He's really good for that team, and they play well, but he's not that nice. I'm sorry, Deuce. Deuce, let's go. It needs to be your coming out party right now.
How tall is Peyton Pritchard?
Not that tall.
He's at least 6'4". Deuce is maybe 6'1".
I don't think he's 6'4". I think you're bugging.
Okay. Watch when he's standing next to Deuce. You're going to be looking at Deuce like he's
6'1", 195. Okay. Be serious.
Don't believe it. He's bigger than Deuce.
He's 6'1",
anyway,
195.
He plays bigger than Deuce. He shoots better than Deuce. I mean, that's a given.
One of the things about Deuce is that his minutes aren't always very consistent. And it's really hard to be a shooter when you don't get consistent minutes. When, one game you're playing 10 minutes, another game you're playing 22 minutes.
He was a more consistent shooter most of the season, Nick, and especially the last months of the season. But
right.
He just fallen off in the playoffs. So hopefully
throughout the season, he was getting more consistent, 17, 18 minutes a game. In this playoff series, there was a couple games where he comes in, he doesn't have it, and he plays like 11 minutes. So
right.
I listen. I'm not even saying I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not. I'm screaming at the TV to get him out of the game right now as well.
Get him out.
But at the same time, I do understand how having a rhythm as a shooter and just having like a consistent hey, I'm usually going to get in around this time and and what I think that does make it easier for you to have consistency as a jump shooter. And I can
It'd be
see
great if,
why.
as a jump shooter, you get as much time as you want. But he's not good enough to qualify for that. So you don't get as much time as he wants
I know. And if he's
or
not, then
needs.
I mean, I get it. He's got a great contract, but you got to look
You
at
gotta
it. And you
figure
got to
it out.
say, is he on a championship team? Is he one of the 7 best players? I don't think so, man.
Listen, and depending on what happens in this series, Nick, I mean, a lot of things can change after this season, as we know.
Yeah.
Deuce could get shipped and with somebody else in some sort of package, So there's a lot at stake.
Now, Karl Anthony Towns, many people say Brunson, saved him from a lot of scrutiny with his Game 6 performance. He only had 10 points on 10 shots. He did have 15 rebounds. I don't really see anybody else that's making this take. I didn't hate the way that Cat played in that game, to be honest with you. I really didn't.
Mm-hmm.
The 10 shots, again, same thing with Bridges. Some of it's him, some of it's Brunson, some of it's Tibbs. We got to figure out a way to get this guy more than 10 shots. Okay. Like we just got to figure it out. We got to figure it out. And it's not going to be about him demanding the ball more and being like, well, I have to, I heard somebody say, Patrick Ewing used to say to me when we were coming out of the huddle, get me the damn ball. And like, I don't know. I just don't think that's today's NBA. I don't think that Cat's really that dude. And I think that he is at the mercy of the guards and the system when it comes to how many touches he gets and how quality those touches are. I thought very early in the game, at the beginning of the game, we were running things specifically to be able to get him the ball inside the 3-point line, elbow, extended. And then he was able to, from there, I wish he would abandon that one-legged fadeaway and just
Stop with the one-legged fadeaway.
When there's no way, when there's no reason. Listen,
there's no reason. And guess what? You don't make a lot of those. He doesn't.
I mean,
made that one big one. Yes, I agree.
Huge.
From behind the backboard.
He made two of those. He made two of those this series. He made two of those.
That one, Nick, did he come up off of one leg there?
I don't know. He didn't. He didn't.
He's seeming to go more with that Dirk shit, and it doesn't work for him.
But but for no reason. The guys just shoot a jump shot. Shoot a ball. Shoot a jump shot.
Tobias Harris, if you release it up there, and he does, he has a high release anyway. If you release the ball like you usually do, you don't need that one leg bullshit. I mean, I'm telling you, I hate it when I see him doing that.
Yeah. One of my biggest issues with Tibbs, this year and currently is the fact that we run a lot of the same sets for Cat that we used to run for Julius, and they're just such different players. And I don't think that we're maximizing and getting the most out of Cat on offense as far as just the positions that we put him in and treating him. Listen, Karl Anthony Towns is good enough that we should be running stuff where he's coming off of a screen and catching the ball behind the 3-point line and looking to fire away and shoot. He absolutely should be doing stuff like that, especially against other big men. He's the best big man shooter of all time. He's got crazy percentages
running around screens, Nick.
No, but it's not like on some Klay Thompson, like catching the ball and just going to quick. But I'm saying like he should be doing stuff where there's a screen, there's like a double screen, and he's going and he's catching the ball at the at the top of the key. And if he turns and his man's not right there, he's letting it fly. Or if not, then he's continuing to come around that corner and getting downhill and driving to the basket, which he actually does pretty well. I don't think we maximize his talent. I don't think that we do enough to get him the ball in like advantageous spots. And I don't think that he should ever have a game where he shoots 10 shots. And I think that's on everybody involved to make sure that doesn't happen, because he has to outplay Kristaps Porzingis in this series if we have any chance of winning.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, sometimes maybe, the coach and Brunson have to make sure. But I think sometimes, Nick, I think honestly, sometimes when I'm watching the game, Karl Anthony Towns at times is just much more aggressive than others. Sometimes he just, I see him personally just fading. And listen, maybe at that point is when someone like a Brunson needs to say, Cat, come over here and get him over here and get him the ball. But
yeah, that's exactly what I need my coach to do, even more so than Brunson. I need the coach to call a timeout and say, hey, we're running this. Get Cat the ball and get him the ball inside. He's got fucking Tobias Harris on him, and we need to get him. We need to use this asset that we have. This guy that we're paying $50 million, who averaged 24 and 13 this season. and we've seen in certain games in just this series him be amazing for stretches and, close out that one game with those 2 huge shots. And then there's other times where it doesn't seem like there's multiple times that go past where we're basically just parking him behind the 3-point line and like
but
running
Nick, let's not just say that
where
it's just that we're parking him behind the 3-point line. There are times when Cat is in the play, but he doesn't. Nick, there's sometimes he doesn't make himself as available as he could. He just doesn't. I'm watching it, and he's in the play in the flow of the game. He's not parked somewhere, but then he comes up and he lets some guy just push him out of position. Which is exactly what Tobias Harris was looking to do every time that Cat was coming to receive the ball. He was just getting in front of Cat and steering him out somewhere, so he was no longer part of the game, part of the play. And Cat has to find a way not to let that happen to him. Everybody goes through that. They try to do that with a lot of people. I'm telling you, watch some of it. I don't know that they're going to do the same things to him, but there were times when he was coming to receive the ball and Tobias Harris was just steering him out the way. Now, some might call that a foul. You know what I mean? But Cat wasn't. There were times when he wasn't combating that well, but then there were times that he was, which is what made it so dumbfounding to me sometimes. And then when he doesn't do that, we got to go to something else. We can't wait around and say, okay, Cat, try to reset again and all that. I just don't understand sometimes why this guy doesn't seem consistently aggressive. That's the one thing that bothers me with him. He did. I love Cat, but we need a little more than that.
There is an abundance of possessions where the set that we are running, the design is for Karl Anthony Towns to not catch the ball inside the 3-point line. And he then it's either something where he's just standing as Brunson is over. We're running like a 5 out, and it's basically everyone's just standing and Brunson is doing his thing. That is a play that we call. The play that we call the most out of all the plays that we ever call is
right.
That's
what you said you wanted to run mostly this season. Coming into this season, you thought that's what we're going to be running, and you were pumped on that because you said Cat would be great at that.
Yeah, I think that 5 out is a concept, but I don't think it's a play that you can run over and over and over and over again throughout the entire course of a game. I don't think I just don't think that's winning basketball. I don't think that asking one guy to do that throughout the entire game is, going to beat a team like a Boston. I think that guy's got to move more. And when we ran 5 out earlier in the season, there was a lot more of Cat catching the ball out and then guys cutting and doing stuff behind him. We don't do that as much anymore. I don't know why, but we don't. And it was beautiful at the beginning of the season when we were doing it. But I also think that there was an adjustment made to the Knicks. At the beginning of the season, we came out, we were doing that, and teams realized, like, you know what we need to do to be able to combat that is just not guard Josh Hart. OKC showed everybody that blueprint for the Knicks, and then all the good coaches started doing that against us. And then when they don't guard Josh Hart, that whole thing gets mucked up, and we can't run it anymore. What's our counter reaction? It seems like last series we kind of figured out, okay, well, Josh Hart has to move more. I just feel like it took a little bit long to figure that out. And I know that this guy Mazzulla is going to be making these types of adjustments on the fly. And whatever the case, if I'm the head coach of the team, I make this so clear to the team, and I make it so clear to Karl Anthony Towns and to the guards that he has to get this certain amount of touches, and we have to. I'm calling this play and run this play. And the goal of this play is to get Karl Anthony Towns a touch inside the 3-point line. I don't think we do that enough. I don't think we. First of all, I don't even think we call plays enough. I know a lot of the times our entire offense is, hey, let's get the ball up the floor as fast as we can, and then it's a read and react offense. I think we could benefit from some more, detailed, elaborate sets. And I think that there's certain times, like at the beginning of Game 6, where we were running some more sets than we typically do, and then we just get away from it. And I don't know who is meant to blame, but we got to figure it out.
I hear you. I mean, we all have different thoughts about what we could do better and whatnot. I think we're doing a pretty good job, and I hope we do a better job against the Boston Celtics. Because they're going to be tough. But I don't have it all figured out. Hopefully they do.
Yeah. To me, it's about figuring it out now, but it's, as I said before, it's all going to be about the adjustments and what we can do, in the moment to counteract some of the different things they are going to do. And one of the big things that drives me nuts about the Knicks that we simply cannot do against Boston is how we sometimes just overhelp for sometimes no reason. Like there's no reason to send a double right now. Let this guy try and stay with that guy. And with Boston, it starts getting swung around, and now this fucking guy Derek White is just like, he's 7 of 8 from 3, and Peyton Pritchard's getting involved. He's hitting all the threes too. I mean, we have to figure out a way to get it through to our guys and to have as a mindset that we are not going to overhelp. This is a totally different team than we just played against Detroit. Cade Cunningham, you almost kind of want to overhelp on him, but if you start to do that against Boston, their concepts and the way that they play and their chemistry is just too good, and you're going to end up just having them just bombing away wide open. We got to figure out a way to put more of an emphasis on guarding and preventing three-point shooters. Orlando did a really good job against them with that. They shot significantly less threes against Orlando all season, not just in the playoffs, because Orlando deployed a game plan and a mindset to try to keep them off the 3-point line. I know we're watching the tape. I know that to me, that's we have to figure that out. And it'll be interesting to see if we do.
Yeah, well, I hear you. And I think that we have a chance against Boston. I never go into any endeavor like this and think we don't have a chance, because I think if we play properly and they do not, we could possibly win. But it's going to be tough. And, as much as you say Orlando did a very good job against them, what was it, 4-1?
I said they did a good job of forcing them to shoot less threes than they typically do. They typically shoot up around 50, and they had them shooting down in the 30s.
But that's the point. You can do a good job against them in certain facets, and they can still beat you 4-1 because they're that good. So, it's a really, really tall task, man. We're going to have to keep the games close. Hopefully we can get to some fourth quarters where we're close. There are going to be a couple games in this series, Nick. Even if we somehow take it to 7 or something like that, there's going to be a couple games in the series where we get blown out. They could get blown out. But don't overreact to that. What I just saw before we came on air, look at what happened with Indiana and Cleveland.
Yep.
Game 1, Yep. Cleveland got a wake-up call right there. They better wake up, because them boys in Indiana ain't acting soft, man. They're coming at you.
Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell went crazy in the third quarter, and it looked like Cleveland was kind of taking control again. But then down the stretch, the Pacers were able to make the big shots. And listen, this is exactly what the Knicks need to do, because they need to be the team that just came off that hard-fought series and comes in and kind of catches these guys by surprise. Just hits them in the mouth early.
Punch them in the mouth.
Yeah.
Well, I think, though, that Donovan Mitchell, Nick, I was watching down the stretch of that game. It was ISO ball for him. And he missed a few. And they made shots down at the other end. I mean, that's the deal, Nick. I mean, we know with this last game with Brunson, he made that last shot, and what's his name made that tip in. If those two things don't happen, we're ripping this guy for being 1 for 10 at the start of the fourth, for playing ISO ball, being greedy, and all. I mean, come on, man. People will be coming over the top for this guy right now, and it would have been all about what? Game 7 today.
If we're not playing ISO ball and we're moving the ball, one of the things that I thought Tibbs did a good job of was having the ghost screen set by. It gave Brunson just a little bit more room to have that ghost screen, because that guy is anticipating contact. And I would even just that a little something. You look at the Pistons, they don't just ISO Cade. They set a pick for him. They run a pick and roll, and they set a pick for him, and it helps him be able to get downhill. It forces the defense to have to make quick decisions, and sometimes it can give you the slightest advantage. If we do that and then we still just don't make the shots and we don't execute and we don't win, then I'm killing the team for not making shots. It's a make or miss league, and I'm disappointed in that part. But I'm not killing the team for running more isolation than any other team in the NBA does by a wide margin, which statistically we do. That's my issue. That's the thing that I feel like is just not going to end up with us, holding the Larry O'Brien trophy. And I think that it is something that clearly there's a lot of other teams who just don't do it as much. Boston being one of them, even though they have, at least two very great isolation players, but their concepts and the offense that they run actually, tells them not to do that. So I just think that, whether it be a screen, a ghost screen, something. Give this guy just a little bit more help and give the offense more of a chance and have it not be all on this one guy putting on his cape every single fourth quarter.
Yeah, I hear you. I think sometimes though he waves off that screen. Like he doesn't want the screen because he don't want to bring another defender even close, and he wants to be out up top by himself. But then a lot of times they run a double at him anyway, which is what a lot of people say they should have done the other night. But
if the coach
this guy had just forced him into 5 straight missed shots or whatever. So
if I'm the coach and I want there to be a screen, then there's a screen. And if you wave it off, I'm like, what are you doing? What? Joe Mazzulla is flipping on his guy if he doesn't run the play that he asked him to run. He's flipping on
Joe Mazzulla's Newt Rockney now. Let's take it easy.
I'm just saying there's I don't get the whole, well, Brunson's just doing what he wants to do. If that's the case, then what the fuck is the point of having a coach? No, if I'm the coach and I want something run, we run that. That's because that's what I think is best, and I'm the coach.
Okay.
What do you think with the series? What do you think?
I think the Knicks can win. I don't see the Knicks. I mean, look, if they can win this first game, that's huge. Sure. Right? I mean, that changes everything. But look, I it'd be hard for me to see it being going more than 6. But if we can take it to 7, I think we have a shot. I think we have to take every game. We can't be down by 20 in the third quarter in any game. No. Any game we're down like that, the game's over. We've lost. Right. If we can be down by less than 10 going into the fourth, we've got a shot. We've got to play with great defensive intensity and integrity the entire game. That's the shit, man. When we get an advantage on these guys, if we do this bullshit like we've done so many times, man, where we just ease off the gas pedal, that's I mean, we're not going to force Detroit's not going to, I'm sorry, Boston's not going to make stupid mistakes down the stretch like Detroit did. That's a given. They're not. So they're going to be a better performing team, and they're going to, when there were a couple of times against these guys where we were so terrible with the ball and the ball was going all over the place and somehow it ended up in somebody's hand and we score and great. Okay, great. No. Those things against Boston don't work out that way. Those things at Boston end up at a fire drill going the other way. So I think it's a very tall order. I don't think it's impossible. I think if we get good play out of, mainly Brunson, obviously, Cat, and Bridges, we got a shot. We got a shot. And the others, as they say, have to really come up big. So I don't know. I'll be hopeful.
I think we have to be the most physical team. We have to be more physical than them to win the series, and we have to win first and third quarters, which has not always been easy for the Knicks. We really got to figure. Mikal Bridges is like, let's do some layup lines. We did layup lines. We look good in the third quarter.
Hey,
in the fourth quarter,
you know what? That's not a bad idea, Nick.
It clearly worked in this past game, but then the fourth quarter ends up being the one where we just totally look horrible for most of it, and then obviously Brunson's heroics at the end. And I think what you see with the Knicks a lot is that when other teams are missing shots, now we're running out, and then we kind of are already creating a disadvantage. We're good at the read and react, swing. Brunson does his thing, whatever. But then when the other team starts to hit shots, and now we're forced to dribble the ball up and play in the half court, that's where you see us slip into the just all the time ISO ball. And that's the Boston's going to hit shots. They're going to hit shots. You know what I mean? So you're going to have some times where we say, okay, all right, they're hitting the shots. So this time, let's not just ask Brunson to, do everything, and let's do this. Let's it's a half court. We know what we're doing. We're not the game plan is not pass the ball in, rush it up as fast as you can, and then 5 out and Brunson figures something out. I just don't think the upper echelon teams play like that. I think even like a guy like Kenny, if you watch, I love when you watch Cleveland play, Kenny Atkinson. I love some of the stuff that they run. I love it. The way some of the things that they do and some of the concepts and the way that they get this guy Donovan Mitchell the ball, especially early in games, and the way that they have so many plays that end with somebody rolling to the rim and one of those big men and they're throwing a lob to him. Now we don't really have those lob threats on our team. We got Mitchell Robinson, who hasn't caught an alley oop since the RJ Barrett era. And Cat obviously he's got to have one of the worst verticals in the entire NBA. He's huge, but he's not catching any types
Never
of lobs.
throw him a lob.
Let me ask you this though. And this is hard because to put him on the court, somebody's got to be off the court. But that game, was it a blessing in disguise that Cat ended up getting, ended up fouling out, and then Mitch is on the court for those last couple plays where Jalen Duren is having to face guard him, and now your boy Bridges is tapping it in with the left, and then also him being able to switch off and bother Cade enough for him to shoot at that lefty layup that ended up not even drawing iron. Did Cat getting fouled out right there? That ended up actually benefiting
that ended up working out. But I think like a play before that, Nick, Cade came up and tried a layup from the left side and missed it, and Cat defended against that. Cat jumped up in the air. So Cade's a very good player, man, but he missed some legitimately. That shot the game before. These are easy shots that you got to make. This is a foul line jumper with nobody there, a wide open foul line jumper. You're my guy. You're this guy for me on my team. You have to make that shot. And I'm confident, literally, if he's open, Jalen Brunson is making, I actually think 8 out of 10 is too little.
Yeah, it could be 9.
It's closer to 9 out of 10.
Closer
just
to
a
9.
wide open, quick, boom, 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 boom. This guy, and listen, maybe that's the moment and all that, I do think that having Mitch on the floor a lot of these crucial times is going to be very important. I don't know exactly how
Josh Hart, Bridges,
one
of those two. Yeah. He's not taking OG off the court.
Right.
So it's going to be Josh Hart or Bridges.
Right.
And I think that's a thing that you just got to do on a nightly basis, depending on feel. And, that's not an easy task. I'm not in any sort of way saying it's an easy task. Just, you got to hope your coach gets it right. But it'll be
listen, I wanted to bring up to you. So I hear what you're saying. You love Kenny Atkinson's plays and all that. If they somehow lose this series to Indiana, which, they just lost home court advantage. If they somehow lose the series to Indiana, are you down on Kenny Atkinson then? Because, by rights, Nick, I don't even know what the odds were going into the series, but I'm thinking Cleveland had to be a prohibitive favorite.
I don't know how high of a favorite they would have been. I could check though.
People are talking like they would favor Cleveland over Boston right now.
Listen, Cavaliers. They absolutely dog walked the Miami Heat in that first series. So I think that had a lot of people high on them.
What I'm saying.
They did have Darius Garland not play today in Game 1, which is a key piece of theirs.
Oh, really?
And yes, but I personally, to me, it's not necessarily always about playing the result. It's not always about playing the result. Sometimes it's about just the what I see with my eyeballs and the concepts and the fact that Donovan Mitchell didn't play 40 minutes in one game on the entire season. That's not just like, they're really deep and happenstance. It's not just about that though. It's obviously they clearly
I think it's a lot about
to do that. They had it. Okay. They that was their policy. They said, hey, this guy has dealt with some injuries. We need to figure out a way to do this. There's things like that. There's also things when it comes to just the way they play offense that I'm pretty high on. I like it. It's not, listen, Kenny Atkinson's resume can't fucking come close to Tibbs. Tibbs' resume is way more extensive and better than his overall.
Very good coach.
But I still think that I like what they do conceptually, and I think that is the next step for the Knicks as far as our overall evolution is being able to have just some more modern concepts on both offense and defense. And I think that there's a chance that could happen with Tibbs, but I do think that we'll probably have to add somebody else to the coaching staff who has a little bit more of an expertise and thought process when it comes to those things. And I don't know who that is. I'm not out here saying like I know that some wonderkind on the deep on somebody else's bench that we need to bring in. But we got to figure something out. And this series will be telling. It's either going to be the Knicks pull off the absolute miracle, or it's going to be we fight hard and we have a good showing and we don't embarrass ourselves. If we just get absolutely waxed and they they blow us out like they did all regular season, that's when you realize how far the gap is, and you got to start asking yourself the question, okay, how do we bridge this gap?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, if things don't work out this series, if things didn't work out the last series, it would have been a fire sale. It would have been terrible because, the fans would have been wild. I mean, it would have been crazy, the press. But if things don't work out this series, I don't know if there will be firings, especially if we put up a good fight. If we take them to 6 or something, 6+, I don't think
no way.
anything like that. But I think if we get run 4-0, anything's possible, or 4-1, anything's possible, and then you might find some personnel changes too. I don't know. These answers are not easy answers, and I was very happy with the trade at the start of the season. I still don't have a problem with the trade. You know what I was looking at, honestly, Nick? We all pine for Ragu. Look at his stats for this past
No, he's
series.
He's not statistically.
It was not good at all.
Statistically, he's not having a great series.
And he made some good plays. I get that. But if Bridges had hit his stats, we would lose our flipping minds. I'm just saying. And I love Ragu.
But Bridges is supposed to be a much better player than him.
If Josh Hart had some of those stats, we'd be upset. I mean, the stats were not good.
But the comparison to Josh Hart, they're totally
different players.
Yeah, they're totally different players. But yeah, hey, Monday, 7:00 Eastern, you and I, we will be somewhere watching the game with my 2 children. And the reason is because we will also, right after the game, be attending the Mets at the Diamondbacks. As the Mets come out to the desert, the Mets are still leading the NL East, even though today they did drop 2 games to the Cardinals by a total of 2 runs, 6-5 and then 5-4. They lose, get swept in the doubleheader today. They had beaten the Cardinals 9 straight games, and then the Cardinals were able to get 2 off of them. And then the Mets will now be getting on a plane coming out to the desert, and we will be going to the first game. I'm going to the second game as well. Pete Alonso got named the National League Player of the Month. Right now, he is the best hitter in the National League. Really, only person statistically having a year on his level is Aaron Judge, who he's just having an absurd year over in the Bronx. But when you look at this Mets team, and I know we just lost 2 games today, but overall, big picture, we're having a very good start to the season.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the thing that worries you the most and you feel like could hold us back from being a team that eventually gets to and wins a World Series?
I would have to say, I mean, listen, everybody always says bullpen, but our bullpen has, by and large, been pretty good, except for certain moments and certain innings.
It's been very good overall. It's been the best bullpen in baseball overall.
I mean, listen, Nick, you got to hope that you hit with runners in scoring position. I mean, that's obviously an issue at times, but overall, we've played well. So it's hard to say now what we need to do so much better. If we keep doing what we've been doing, keep having a record like we've been having, we're in great shape. But I think we just, have to keep doing the same. But it's such a long season, man, in baseball. You're going to go through a 5-game losing streak. You're going to go through, certain people are going to go through slumps and so forth. So, I think our best hitter, our best hitter, the best baseball card is having a shitty start. And when he turns it around, if we didn't have a good record, this is what I'd be saying as far as being hopeful. But the fact that we have such a good record and Soto's not doing well at all, I mean, he picks it up here and there, but like today, he didn't do so well. But I think
tough luck today.
Yeah, he hit the ball very hard. That was a home run.
Hit a ball that was going to be a home run that got robbed in the deepest part of the park in center field. I mean,
that was a fantastic play by that guy.
Yeah, fantastic play. I feel like
a 3-run homer.
The thing about Soto is, that's a 3-run homer. Obviously, totally different game right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like Soto is hitting the ball hard a lot, but just hitting into outs. And in that second game, the Mets in general were hitting the ball hard, but just not able to find some holes, unfortunately.
That's what always gives me hope, though, Nick. That makes me feel good going forward. I'm like, okay, good. We're hitting the ball hard. It's going to, we're going to start hitting it where they ain't. and it'll work out.
Right now, the biggest concern for me is what you mentioned first, which is the runners in scoring position and our numbers there. We had multiple opportunities today where, you got a guys on second and third, one out, no out, bases loaded, and we're not able to do the little situational things to be able to get that guy in. And some of the times it was happening with some of our better players up at the plate. It's something that hasn't been so prohibitive that we are, at the bottom of the NL East or third looking up. We've been able to have great pitching and we've been able to score some runs decently. And, guys like obviously Alonso, who let's go ahead right now. Alonso, I give you I had 3 more years. We do this year. We take away that next year. That is a club option where you're only making 25. And I give you 3 years at 105 right now.
I don't know if he signs that. I mean, what's he making right now, Nick? 30, how much? 30 million?
30, even.
So you don't think he wants like 35? Well, no. I mean, 35 is right there.
Yeah, 3. That's what it is. 35. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 3 105.
Maybe. It seemed to me like Cohen kind of said he doesn't want to get into all that right now. Just let's play the season a little more. I'm sure they're talking maybe, or Cohen's thinking about it, but he doesn't want to jump on it right now. Because a guy like what's his name, Boris will smell blood in the water right there.
Yeah, I again, as we both said, I'm hoping that Boris gets kind of squeezed out of this entire situation. And I just, I want to lock the guy up. I want to lock him up. You know how much I've always loved and supported Pete.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of Mets fans this past offseason who were saying they didn't want Pete back, and he's this, he's that. They're fools. The guy has improved himself on defense. The guy is hitting 344 right now with a 1.14 OPS, 8 home runs, 30 RBIs. He's a National League Player of the Month in April. Lock him up. Do what you got to do. Get it done. And I just hope that, like you said, Soto comes around. He's been hitting the ball hard. He's been having some bad luck. We need him to come around. What about have you noticed? I've noticed. Don't you feel like Alvarez, since he's been back, he's shown a little bit more plate discipline? He seems like he's not just swinging out of his shoes all the time, hitting the ball to the opposite field.
Plate discipline, 100%.
That's huge. I think that's huge for us.
Well, I think we've been very happy with our catcher play this year.
Terrence is great, but at the end of the day, he's Terrence. You know what I mean? He's the best thrower of the baseball from behind the plate in the game. Point blank, 50% this year. He's throwing good. No, 50% since he's been a Met. It's even higher than 50% this year. It's 50% since he became a Met. Since we got him from the Yankees for cash considerations, like $100K. And this guy's been fantastic, man. I mean, he's got some clutch in him too. He gets some
hits with runners in scoring position.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. 2 strikes and he'll stick with it and hit that ball the opposite way, drive it up the middle. We like you said, you got to love what you see from, the Mets catchers so far this season, having those two as a 1-2 punch, especially if we're going to get Alvarez hitting the ball with authority. And this guy Acuna's here to stay, man. He's here to stay.
Yeah.
He can play third.
He gained a spot
he's hit over 300. Like, he can play third. He can play every position. He looks like a major league ball player.
Oh yeah. He's sticking around, man. There's no way you're getting rid of this guy. And other guys better find a way to play around him, because he's going to stay up with the big club. So, hey, puts everybody else on alert. Jeff McNeil, keep doing your thing, but don't, nobody can really fall off, man. So yeah. And we I'm looking forward to seeing him with some outfield
time. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it.
I'd just like to see what he's got. I think he might be pretty good out there.
Yeah,
I don't know. But they know that much better than I.
And learning that on the major league level is going to be tough. And also, I mean, he's just such a good infielder. Like, I mean, there's no reason to take him away. And speed element, man. We haven't had a guy like that since like Reyes. And it really does change things when you have a guy with that type of speed. And shout out to our guy D-Rails saying, "What's up, fellas? D-Rails, how we doing? Salute, brother." I think that the Mets right now, you got to love the start to the season. I think that, we're dealing with some bullpen injuries. Minter's out for the long term. Dead Neil Nunez is back up now, and hopefully he's here to stay. I loved what I saw out of him last year.
Tidwell went right down after the game.
Yeah. Send him right back to Syracuse after the game. But I thought he pitched okay. I thought he pitched okay. I thought that
early on.
he's just clearly not. He's not a major league pitcher yet. He's just not.
No,
He's
not ready.
and
Needs
I
more
thought
seasoning.
yeah, he needs a little bit more seasoning, a little more lemon pepper. And I just think that listen, man, we got the manager, we got the baseball mind. I love how we're always hearing about the Mets pitching lab. I don't even know what the fuck that means really, but I love
Doesn't
it.
matter.
Doesn't
Hefner
matter.
or wasn't his name Hefner or Hebner?
Hefner.
Hefner. Come on, he's the guy, man. But how soon before somebody tries to hire him away as their manager?
Doesn't want to be a manager. Says he would move into the front office before he would be the skipper.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay.
And I mean he survived on the Mets
sidekick forever.
He survived on the Mets for multiple different regimes, different coaching staffs. A lot of people.
Yeah, but it would seem like it's working better with Mendy somehow. I don't know why, but him and Mendy got the special sauce.
It's not just him and Mendy. It's the amount of money that we have dumped into technology. This whole pitching lab shit. Right, we have dumped a lot of money into that, and then we have this theory and this thought process of like, hey, you need to have a sinker, basically. Like if you're on this team, like we're like, okay, you pretty much need to have a sinker if you're going to be a starter. And what we do is we go in and we look at these guys and we look at like the percentage. A lot of players these last couple of years, whether it be Manaya, Severino, some of the guys that are having, success this year, like Griffin Canning, their pitch distribution is changed drastically since they come to the Mets. They throw either more breaking balls or more fastball, whatever, because we have the analytics to tell them, hey, you need to do this. And they're buying into it. And they're all talking about how, great it's been. I mean, Severino is the best marketing that the Mets could ever have, the way that he talked about the Mets training staff and the pitching lab after he left. And there's something to it, man. It's just
okay.
Fun. Go.
So do we give credit to Stearns?
That's to me, that's where all of it goes.
Yeah.
That's where all of it goes. That was one of the things that he pitched the Mets on. And one of the things he talked about was that there's certain things there's certain cameras that can pick things up that there's other teams who their minor league affiliates had these things. And the Mets under the Wilpons didn't have these things. We just weren't putting the assets and the money into being a top flight, organization. We just weren't.
I don't want to hear that name anymore. Wilpon.
Yeah, it was dark. Those were dark times, but now we got literally the best and the richest owner in sports, and we have one of the best baseball minds running the whole thing, and they're both lifelong Met fans. It just doesn't get any better.
Let's go.
All right. Jets had their draft. The full gamut of takes on this draft I've seen from all the different people that analyze drafts, that that analyze and cover the Jets. I see some people love it, especially the first half. Some people hate it. That the number one pick was exactly what I was screaming for. We went out, we got this guy Membu, offensive tackle from Missouri, plug and play right tackle right now. Then you get Mason Taylor, the tight end. We talked about those two draft picks as well as Azariah Thomas last week. One that I see a lot of negative coverage on is this guy, Arian Smith, the wide receiver out of Georgia. Everybody says that, he's an absolute burner, but he can't catch. And they're just like, dudes who can't catch in college don't get to the NBA all of a sudden and start learning how to catch. So,
listen, he had a bad year this past year, and this next year, hopefully he'll be able to do some things. But, Nick, he got picked 110th, and I'm hoping that this kid, he might be able to catch a pass, get him on a jet sweep, play some special teams, all that. I don't know. I think no one knows. There's so many guys who get drafted so far deep in the draft who end up being decent players in this league. No one knows. This is this regime's first shot at showing us what their judge of talent is. And we literally don't know yet whether they're good or bad. I think the Membu pick was obviously a good pick. It was a safe pick. It was the right pick to do at the time. You don't want to be, I don't know.
I thought you wanted Tyler Warren.
I didn't say that. No, I said Tyler Warren would be good to have a tight end there, but that's a risky pick to take a tight end right there. You need, you've got a perfect right tackle right there who's been playing right tackle for years. It's a safe pick to do, and he's a huge guy, and His tape looks great, everybody says, and everything I've seen looked great. So that's fine. And frankly, I mean, it kind of bears out when other teams. I mean, this guy Tyler Warren, I was surprised, wasn't even the first tight end picked.
Right.
You know, this guy
That blew my
Lovelace got
mind.
picked
Yeah.
in. Right. This guy Lovelace got picked. And then the third tight end was the guy we picked, Mason Taylor, whose dad's a former Jet, where everybody says he's got great hands. You know, it moves well. He the number one tight end ever at LSU. I mean, which is saying a lot because they don't throw to the tight end that much. But he
blocks,
had a decent.
He does it all. Yeah.
No, I did read that. I somebody said he doesn't block well at all. Somebody said he blocks pretty well. I was reading somewhere he blocks pretty well.
I've seen that he's the things I've seen are that he's a pretty good blocker.
Right, and he's a very good athlete, and he's got very good hands. Is what I've heard about him. You know,
yes.
So
dropped one ball all of last season.
Right, let's go. And then the guy AZ Thomas, he's supposed to be good. He's tall, rangy. You know, hands-on corner.
I like him because
I love that.
He dropped. They say he would have been a lot higher if he had run a faster 40. And see, there's a difference between that football speed and I can run in, you know, I'm out here running in my underwear. And 100%. You know, you look at a guy like him, opposite Sauce. Now we have two big physical corners. One of them can't really tackle, but I think that he could end up being somebody who ends up being like, you know, well, okay. So we just go out and we sign the cornerback. What was the cornerback's name that we signed?
Stevens.
Yeah,
Stevens.
And I hear some people, Brandon Stevens, and some people are saying that they think that this guy Thomas might give him a run for his money as far as being the opposite corner, because this guy Stevens is a little bit more suited to be like a slot type of guy, but we just gave him 3 years and $36 million. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out, because listen, if you want to pay Sauce and you have this guy on the books. Now, if, you know, Thomas starts to emerge as well, you can only put so much money towards the cornerback position. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the long run. But I also, Malachi Moore, the safety out of Alabama. This guy, he hits. He's got a nose for the ball. That's team captain 2 years in a row on Alabama.
I thought it was 3 years, Nick.
Okay,
he was a starter for like 3 or 4 years in a row. And he was a captain for like 3 years at Alabama. Come on, man.
You telling me that guy can't be a starter in the NFL? And we need some help at safety. That to me was the pick, especially where we got him. I was like, okay, I like that a lot right there.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Lots of talk from you know, both Muji as well as your boy Aaron Glenn about just, you know, getting the right type of guys. Seems like they're really interested in building a culture and getting guys that fit that. Obviously, they have to be able to play on the field, but it's just going to be an interesting season, man. I love the fact that we are investing in the offensive line the way that we have. You got our oldest offensive lineman, John Simpson, being like 28 years old.
Yep.
We have like 3 backups that I feel like could start. You know what I mean? So like that to me is huge, because you know you're going to get some injuries at some point. And if AVT can just stay healthy, and this guy Membu can be what we think, Vashanu can be what we saw flashes of last year, and he can be healthy, and we can make this offensive line a real strength. You never hear an analyst say, yeah, they have like, you know, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL about a team that sucks. There's times where teams have a really good defensive line, but they're still not a great team. There's times where teams have a good receiver room, or what this. If that unit is regarded as one of the top 5 in the NFL, you're usually a team that's at least fighting for a playoff spot. And the great Jets teams that I've seen in my lifetime, it's always been built around the offensive line. And I'm just hoping that, you know, everything can go right and guys can gel and stay healthy, and it can just be a true strength for this organization once again.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're building it properly. You know, I approve of what they're doing so far, but, you know, listen, as we always know, what happens on the field is going to decide whether we, you know, like them or think it's another fool regime, you know. So all you can do is hope that they made the right decision so far.
Yes, we shall see. All right, real quick. Lakers lost in 5. JJ Reddick says they need to get in more championship shape. You know, Luka definitely looked like he was gassed at the end of some of those games. Yes. People are killing Reddick for his playing the starters the entire game. I mean, the entire second half in game 4. And, you know, Bron had some very pedestrian games, and specifically fourth quarters. You know, you and I were watching that one game where he put that shot up from the elbow, like extended, and it hits like the side of the glass, you know, and then he's dapping up, you know, Anthony Edwards and, like, you know, smiling with him when there's, you know, it's a 3-point game with a couple of minutes left to go. I mean, you know, the Bron will never be Jordan or Kobe, guys. They love that because it's just like, come on, man. You know for a fact you would never see that out of those guys. And right. I think that, you know, I also thought Bron was like, really, listen, the limp that he had after the last game, where it was like, dude, you were just running up and down the court, and they show him after the game and he's walking like in the tunnel and he's limping considerably. And I'm just like, he's that hurt. He lays on the one time where he gets hit and he lays on the ground. He laid on the ground for like a minute. And his own teammates weren't like even coming to check on him. They were just like, it's just Bron doing this thing. This is what he does.
Let him rest. Let him get some rest. Somebody
what do you think? What do you think of that series and how it played out? And do you think that JJ Reddick deserves some of the scrutiny and the flack that he's been getting?
I definitely think he deserves some scrutiny. He's had a very good initial season as a head coach, but he deserves some scrutiny, Nick. Letting that game get away from him with these guys playing the full second half. I mean, clearly to me, that was not by design, but what is by design is him not being willing to, and most coaches not being willing to stay in front of everybody. Yeah, I wish I had done that differently. Nobody wants to admit that, so I get it. That's fine. But I think he's a good coach. I think he needs to learn. I think he's young. He needs to learn. You know, he'll get better. I think I don't know if basically calling Luka out publicly is the way to go. I don't know how Luka will. So
we're saying that was specifically towards Luka. That wasn't.
Come on, let's come on. We're all grown men here. Let's not be silly. Of course,
maybe there's other guys he feels that way about.
Maybe there is. There might be other guys on the team.
It was definitely it might have been only meant for Luka, but it was.
There might be a couple other chubsy ubsies on the team, but Luka's that guy. Okay, come on, man. You know, you only have to look at all the guys on that team. I don't see anybody else on that team that I can immediately say, yeah, he's got too many pounds. Okay, Hachimura, Austin Reeves, these guys are all slim guys, man. Right. Nobody's got the spare tire, okay, except one Mr. LD. But listen, man, I thought people got carried away when they had some good games and whatnot, and want to talk about like, oh, you know, that. I heard Chris Canty say, I'd be surprised by anyone else who made the NBA Finals out of the West except for the Lakers.
He's a Lakers fan.
I know that, but I mean that's still silly to say.
Chris
like
they
have a better chance of making it, or somehow have an equal chance of making it as Oklahoma City or Golden State. I mean, even Golden State now, which by the way, that game's on now right now.
I know.
You know, it's come on, man. I think that LA just wasn't that good. They're not, and their lack of size is glaring. Okay, having LeBron try to hold Jokic and play in the center position. Come on, man. You gotta. I don't understand what happened to this guy Jackson Hayes. They didn't even play him.
Trying to hold Jokic.
No, I'm sorry, not Jokic, but
Gobert.
Gobert, yes. Yeah. There were times when he was holding Gobert, and this guy Jackson Hayes didn't even play.
They just totally went away from him.
I don't understand that when there's this much size and Gobert is having 26 points and 24 rebounds. What are you doing? Can you just imagine, Nick? Like I'm saying, just imagine with the New York fans and press, if Tibbs does what JJ Reddick did, like if we're getting killed by, I don't know, if we were getting killed by Rudy Gobert and you just had, you never put Julius Randle holding him the whole time.
Right.
Come on, what are you doing? Or if he did what Ty Lue did.
Yeah.
New York would lose their mind. I told Godfrey there'd be people outside the Garden with pitchforks and bonfires if he did some shit like Ty Lue did. It's malpractice.
I agree. Yeah, no. I mean, listen, it's the biggest media market in the world, and it's the most rabid fan base in sports. So you're definitely going to have the scrutiny on you, but you also have the glory when you make it happen. Hopefully someday they will. I'd be interested to see what they do this offseason as far as They got to obviously try to add a big man. You know, LeBron's doing that whole like I got to sit down and talk to my family bullshit. He's definitely coming back and playing. And then you know the whole Luka situation. You know, does Luka get a little bit annoyed about the fact
Is
that
Luka a full-fledged free agent right now?
If he's not, I know he was extension eligible this offseason. I don't know if he's a full free agent.
But he can't get as much money from LA as he could have gotten from Dallas. He could have gotten like $350 from Dallas. LA can give him like $220 or something like that. Correct. But I don't know if he can like opt out right now. I don't know.
He just wrapped up the third of a 5-year deal.
So he's still on the contract. What are we talking?
Yeah. He was, you know, he was
eligible.
He's extension eligible. Correct.
Right. I mean, if you're in the Lakers right now, are you even thinking about giving him an extension right now before next season? No.
Yes.
No.
I think so. I think that if you're the Lakers, when you go get Luka Doncic, you go get it because you want him to finish his career.
So even if he comes back next year and plans to play himself into shape, and like let's say this off season, you give him the contract. Nick, this is clearly what he did at Dallas, right? Okay. This is what he did at Dallas. He came into camp like 15 to 20 pounds overweight.
Yeah, no, that was his
and drinking cans of beer.
That was his MO.
What are we doing
throughout his career, really?
Okay, so if he's doing that in your LA, regardless of whether he's doing that, you're giving this guy $300 million. I don't know.
Oh, Luka's. I think Luka is that. I mean, Luka's one of the. I mean, he's one of the 5 best players in the NBA. Nick, definitely one of the 10 best.
Nick, this could end up like the Harden situation, where if Luka doesn't get himself in shape, this wasn't the Harden situation because that whole fat suit thing was foolishness. But if Luka doesn't get himself in shape, he's going to end up going down like Harden because he's going to be a great player, a great scorer, amazing regular season guy, and he's going to shit the bed in the postseason sometimes.
Yeah, but unless he has
really good players around him.
We've seen Luka be really clutch in the postseason already.
Absolutely, offensively, Nick, but defensively, he's always going to frustrate the shit out of you.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to get away from that.
He's a bad defender. It's because he's not in shape. If he was just in better shape, he'd be a little bit better defender, Nick. He'd be a little bit better. Right now, it's a joke at what he does out there half the time. Come on, stop. It's a joke. For a professional at that level, and you're going to give him $300 million, and he can't put forth this much effort to at least get on a fucking treadmill every once in a while and push away from a buffet table? Come on, man. It's not cool. It's not cool, man. I don't know.
Clearly, you and Nico Harris are aligned on that one for sure.
Nico, my man.
That was about one of the big. That win was huge for him. The fact that they lost and they lost in the fashion that they did. I mean, it really, really takes the heat off of him just a little. Or at least the microscope is not, a little bit, just a little bit. Still think it was a terrible trade and it was handled terribly. But speaking of big people moving, I just thought about this. You think there's a chance Giannis ends up saying to Milwaukee this offseason, I want out?
I mean, Giannis, yeah. I mean, I don't know, Nick, because listen, you've lost Dame now for at least the rest of pretty much all the next year too, right?
Yeah.
And listen, and Dame's 36. Right. You're coming back to play basketball. There's a chance Dame is just done.
Especially Dame's got a lot of other interests and shit going on too. So it's like
right.
You know, obviously this guy loves ball, but it's just like, I mean, first of all, it's just about whether or not he'll be able to, as opposed to wanting to.
Right. Now, Giannis, I could see Giannis being that guy who he stays there, Nick, and he sticks it out for another 2 years, and then he retires. They retire his number immediately. You know,
2 years.
I mean, 2-3 years. Well, how old is Giannis? Well, no, Giannis is only like 31.
Yeah, man.
Giannis got a while. Giannis, dude, man, if he's smart, his people should be in his head saying, "Yo, Giannis, if you could make this move, man." So if you're the Knicks and we flame out against Boston, and you can get Giannis for a cat and say Bridges.
No. You're not trading cat.
Okay, so you can get Giannis for Anunoby, Bridges, and Deuce, and whatever other considerations you're making that. Well, you'd make that trade, right?
It's very tough. I've thought about this a lot because to me, you're going to have like 2 of those players and then whatever picks we can offer. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That would be a dynamic. I mean, you could give up. You give up Mitch in that too. Throw him.
Yeah. But my thing is this though, Dad. I just don't see these championship teams being built this way. where you just
No.
keep adding the new shiny object.
And we
don't
tried that a million times. It never
right.
worked.
But Giannis is fucking Giannis, man.
I know,
cat
but
average,
me, I'd like to
30,
stick with
11, and
and grow.
6.5 assists on 60% shooting this season. I mean, he's fucking unreal. And the thing is that he's also a guy who he needs the ball in his hands a lot. And we got that in Brunson. There's only so many. I don't know if I don't think it fits. I really don't.
Nick, that's right. And I think, you know what? I think we learn more and more when we see these trades happen and whatnot. Just because you add these two pieces together that seem like, oh, this guy's really good and this guy's really good, put them together and boom, it's great. It doesn't always work out that way. You really don't have to look any further than Giannis and Dame. We thought that result would be a lot better than what it was, even with the injury.
Though. I would say healthy.
No, I think even with the injury, Nick, when they were both healthy, they were still not as good. Look, Nick, when they first got together, we were like, holy smokes.
I know, but they were really barely both healthy throughout. They were barely both healthy. And last year in the playoffs, neither of them were playing. And then this year, Dame ends up going down, and that was with Dame just having missed a bunch of time at the end of the season for the blood clot. So I don't think we ever really got to see how that could work out as far as just that pairing and what they could produce just due to the injury thing. But I also think that, hey, when you decide to try to add a guy who's an aging player who doesn't play defense, who's tiny, and you give up Drew Holiday, and then he is then able to find his way to your biggest rivalry, I think that is to be the thing that you look back at if you're a Milwaukee guy and just be like, yo, man, Drew Holiday, listen, I've heard that the Celtics possibly are not going to be able to keep all of their players just monetarily moving forward. If Drew Holiday is available, that's one player that I'd be like, man, just get him. I would do everything to have.
Yeah, but then what do you do? You have him and Brunson on the court together?
Yeah,
you could.
Absolutely, you can. I make him my starting shooting guard. I move Josh Hart to the bench. Let's go. Drew Holiday is a winning basketball player. He just is, man. He's always has been. He can shoot it. He can shoot it enough. He's a decent shooter. He's better than average. And his defense and his toughness and his guile, his instincts, just fantastic. And he really, he took Boston to the next level. And he took Milwaukee to the next level. And he took Boston to the next level. I love Drew Holiday. I love his game. I was actually, there was he missed 3 of the games in the last series, and they were saying that he might not be able to. They were wondering whether or not he's going to be healthy for the Knicks, but it does look like he is going to be a go tomorrow. And I never hope injury on anybody, but if he was still a little bit injured and had to miss a couple games, I'd feel a little bit better.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Last but not least, the question that has taken the entire world by storm. Everybody wants to know the big guy's take on this. 100 men versus one silverback gorilla. Who you got?
I don't think there's ever even a question here. It's got to be the gorilla because, like I said, Nick, and we're not even going to get into. Of course, there's no weapons. We're not even going to get into whether or not, all of these people would get killed, and then everybody would run away because the first 10 guys would be killed. My whole point is, Nick, is that no matter how many people you have grabbing this gorilla, you cannot pierce his skin. These animals have much thicker skin than ours. You only have hands and fingers, and I don't know if everybody's going to grow their fingernails long, but you can't pierce his skin. This thing, as soon as he touches you, can squash your head like a grape. He can bite straight through your bone, so he can literally bite your arm, and the bottom part of your arm just fall off, or your leg. And come on. And that's not even considering the fact that if people get scared after the first 10 people get annihilated, then it's a wrap. Okay, it's over. And I'm saying if you got 100 brave men with no weapons, the silverback still wins.
So what if is it? That's one of the things that my question is like, is it 100 James Harrisons? Or
I don't care if it's 100 James Harrisons, Nick. He can rip off James Harrison's arm this.
To me, the only chance that the humans have.
The silverback can bench press like 1,800 pounds.
No, okay, I agree with you. I sent you a video. I don't know, maybe like a week ago. I think on Instagram that was some guy who was in the know, some sort of scientist or some shit, and he was saying how there's nothing that humans could do to inflict any harm on this thing. Just
This
as
is what
far
I'm
as
saying.
like hitting it with blows or like you said, piercing its skin or whatever. The humans cannot do that to this
Some
creature.
people say you could eye gouge him. Dude,
I was
if you
to
get
me,
close enough to eye gouge, he's gonna bite your flipping fingers off.
if you can get like 10 people on each limb, you get like 10, 15 people on each limb somehow. Listen, if the humans were going to win, they would need like Bill Belichick as their coach or some shit. They would tactically have to do something like to somehow like lure this thing out. They say that that they don't have a lot of stamina.
Space,
they don't have a lot. They don't have. No, it's a big open space. It's a big open space. It's a big open space. So they don't have a lot of stamina. So maybe you send some people in there, get him to start like give chase and
also,
like
thing can run like 28 miles an hour.
Right. So you got to give it. I listen, but we're sending the best of the best, and there's humans that are faster than that. So you get something to like give this guy to give chase a little bit.
Humans running 28 miles an hour. I
don't think gorillas are faster. I think the fastest human is faster. Is faster.
No. Like the fastest guy in the NFL, Nick, when they're running like 22, 23 miles an hour, like DK Metcalf. He's running faster than that.
Fastest human maximum human running speed is 28 miles per hour.
Okay, so he's as fast as the fastest human.
But we're also able
and stronger than 50 of the strongest humans. He's stronger than this guy, the mountain. He's like 30 mountains.
No, he's way stronger than any of these people. I'm saying like 10 mountains. We got like 10 mountains on each limb. And then somebody comes in and tries to go for the eye guys. But the thing about that is that you see one of these things when they open up their mouth. You're getting anywhere close to that, you're getting destroyed. That's what they said. And like you said, he would just if that thing like actually like tried to like just grab you by your head and throw you and you would die.
Nick,
from the impact.
He would throw you and your head would come away from your body. What are you kidding me? He could just rip like you would do to a G.I. Joe. That's what he would do to us. Are you kidding? No, man. Silverback all day.
I agree with you. I gotta go with the gorilla. Shout out to my guys over at T Public. Check out the shirt. Yo, sponsor your boy, man. I got a couple of you guys shirts that I'm wearing when I'm on this show, and maybe we can work something out, T Public. But yeah, man, I do gotta go with overall. I gotta go with the silverback. But I think that it'd be really important to get the right mixture of people. You need some mountain types. You need some, you need some James Harrison.
You could have
types.
a mixture of people die horribly.
Yeah, nah, it's probably going to be the silverback. 100 just seems like a lot though, man. I think maybe by 50, 60 people, he might be kind of tired. He might be gassed like Luka.
Again, though. So then what do you do? He's tired now. Now what do you do?
Maybe he's so tired that he just like kind of slumps over. He slumps over.
Okay, he slumps over. You run up on him, and what do you do? Because he doesn't need a lot of energy, Nick. If he's like, all right, you don't want to come to me, let's go.
Yeah, right.
Just, or bites you, grab you.
But maybe that's the play. The play is that you don't even try to inflict like damage on him. You just get him to a point where he expires, where he just he literally like has to go down because
like I say though, 50 people have to die to make this even close to happen.
In any type of thought process, there's going to be a whole lot of people that got to get sacrificed. The cats that go in first, it's over for them. It's over for them.
See, if this was if this is 100 years from now, there's going to be a way you could pay for a pay-per-view of this.
Yeah, maybe at some point.
Yeah, but
sure. I'm my thing is with all the AI. Like I saw one like simulation of how this would go, but it was very, it didn't look that good, and
but it's going to look great 5 years from now.
Right. I want the simulation. I want to see what this would look like. I watched The Lion King, or I watched this Mufasa movie with my family yesterday. And all these animals look so real. This bee at one time they showed close up, and I'm like, come on, man! Somebody, whoever's doing this, give me the show me how it plays out when we get the 100 men versus the gorilla. This could be like a whole movie, like where the recruitment of those 100 men, and like maybe they they get like $1 million. They get $1 million each if they win. And you got like you got some James Harrison types, but you also got like some crazy like prisoner type cats, like some dude from like
a game show, Nick. You'd make it like a game show, like that show with that
Squid
movie
Games.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Not Total Recall.
Not Total Recall. I know what you're talking about.
But you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, something like that for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a coming
in the works.
Coming to a streaming service near you. That's coming up soon. Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. We really appreciate all the love, and you can find us on all socials at Nic On Knicks. That's N.I.C. on Knicks. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.
Yeah.